Okay, beautiful. Oh, awesome, right? Okay, so today what we will do, we'll put all our learnings together, right? So we will use those learnings now, use and form an awesome stuff, right? We're gonna make us read different stuffs, right? So make we see. So I did do this because say you get an assignment so I give for class, right? So I did use this as a correction for us to jam together and obviously make a wider people learn, right? From within code lab people they learn, right? So awesome, right? So make we jump into this now. So the assignment now actually for them to sort of like um, read through GitHub, right? Read GitHub API, get certain API, right? Certain keys, right? Get them, use and store inside an object, then pass that object into a database. Somehow, this side here could form like our database, right? But the key thing about them now say that should be done with a method, right? So okay, that's it. Maybe that's right. Tell me that. So for you guys to understand method, it will make sense say you understand class first, right? So for TypeScript, the way we create classes, so we just do class, whether class TypeScript or JavaScript, right? So we just say class, then give that class a name. So for now, make I just say something. Okay, make I say something like points, right? Then I put this curly brace. Later we'll do extensively what's a class and touch class web. But for now, let's just work like this, right? So like I say, I just want to do a very simple test, a very simple class definition so that we will use understand class, right? And we will create like maybe one or two method inside the class. But most importantly, so most say, okay, we want to create a class so it will let us know the distance between 2 points, right? So I will say this, right? So Moku will say x to be number, right? And make us say y to be number as well. Now, of course, you know, say every point will get x and y coordinates, right? But most importantly, the moment you create a class, right, you must create a constructor as well, right? So this will do now a constructor. So inside this constructor, so we must pass the properties, right? So most say the properties of this class will be x and y. So now I will say this dot x they equals to x, and so I can duplicate this, but this time around I will say this one and y, right? So this dot y equals to this. So this is brilliant. So by doing this, we don't create the simplest of class, right? This is the simplest of class we can create, and that is what we have created, right? So the next thing we'll go do, right, now for us to create the method, right? So I want to create a static method. So static method actually it's a special kind of method where be say now only the class now if you access them, right? The what's it called, instance of the class no fit access now. So what I mean, so make I just say yeah, like get distance, right, and be this, right? So we'll do something like this, right? Very simple. So if I come here now and I say okay, I want to create an instance of this point, right? So make we say let's point A they equals to new points, right? So I do this. So make we say okay, the x value now 4 and the y value now 8, right? So now if I come here and say console log and I put point A, if I do dots here, you say I get access to this property x and y, but I don't get access to this one. However, if I remove this and come here, do this, you can say now I don't get access to this, right? So the point why they try bring up here now say static property now only the class now get access to them, right? And now it's what we want to do. So this thing they brilliant for waiting we want to. Okay, good. So now we don't get the, so one pass a parameter inside this place here. So remember, so one gets the distance between 2 points, right? So here now we go say, okay, make this thing take, let me say points, right? Well, if you use point anyway, sure. So most say this will be points high, right? And this thing will take we'll get it points, right? Then point I, right? And of course this side will get a point, a type of point. Now inside this point, if you remember the formula as you were taught in school, to get a distance of a point, right? Now difference, so if I write this, so as something like nobody write for me to write them, but however if I come here, right, make I open this, so it will come here, it will say, okay, make this and find distance of a point in a line, right? So most see the formula. Okay, so we'll get different formula, right? So majorly if you see this thing, that's the distance, right? Or make I say so if we do this and I hit enter here, okay, good, this one explain them better, right? So this is x and this is y. So this is the center, the point of origin, right? So majorly we get here, so we won't find the distance from this point to this point or whichever, right? So majorly now this side now they actually look for, right? So we'll get to get here, we'll find the differences of y, and to get here we'll find the differences of x, right? So often at times now here we know, now here we need a know, right? So the formula for that is usually Pythagoras formula, which is this. I don't know that one the same way, right? But which is Pythagoras formula, right? So if we go write it will be now something like x square, so I just put 2 to represent square, but they equals to or make I say h square, but they equals to x square plus y square. Majorly 9 be them, right? Then if I want to get h, I go say h go be the root of this, right? So majorly 9 be that, right? So we will write the formula for that, right? So first of all we need to find the difference in x. So we could say the x will be equals to, so each point will get their x value, right? So we'll get the x value for this point, so I will get the x value for this point 1. So I will say point 2 dot x minus 0.1 dot x, right? So this one will give me the change in x, and of course I will do the same thing for y, right? So I'll do the same thing for y. So that one don't give me the difference in this x and this y now. So now to get the changes, right? So I will say return, and I will use the MATLAB. So I'll say this dot square root, right? Now this square root, if you remember how the formula, then I say change in x square, so I will say I'll say math dot power, right? Now this math dot power will take 2 arguments, the value and the power. So for me now the dx here, so dx comma 2, that's what I want. And so I will just repeat this, right? But for y, so plus this, but here will be for y. So that's it, right? So this now will give me the difference. Okay, good. So now make I come here, do for B, and for B I can say 5 and let me say 7, right? So for here now, to get the what's it called now, the distance, right? So if I come here and I do dots here, I will get distance. Remember, static method that the class itself, now if we access some, right? So that's brilliant. So if we come here and we do dot get and we get this, remember I say it will take two class instance of the class A and B. So if we come here, say point A, right, comma point B. So that's good. Now if we save, we see the what's it called, the distance between these two points. Of course I can change out to just 2 decimal places, but this is just how we can use class. Now note that this is a method. Okay, so now make we dive quickly into making this thing more technical and more interesting, right, using the assignments, right? So first off, make I just do comments here. So I go say class and I'll say assignment, something like that, right? So the assignment class, now the try create, and inside there I never know the method where you could take or whatever. Okay, I think we need one property which would be like maybe a name property, right? So make us say name to be a string, right? And so we'll call a constructor of name, right? So makes sense, right? The only thing we'll need, so this name definitely now we'll use this solve for other things. So the first thing we'll want to do now to first of all read an API, right? So make we see how we will feed them. So make we say read API. So that's the method we want to use for here. So if I come here and I do this right now, if we column, so make I try a mouse first. So make us say we want first of all get access to the API, so we'll read from the API. So we'll say let's URL which now string today equals to I'll just do this, but that's to be HTTPS. So we'll say API dot github.com/ I think user, and make I just use X code first mostly. So for here now I fit call, so make us see, even if I no use await, but I mean async. However, the fetch method can be used without await, right? So if we come here and make us say fetch, right? So I call the fetch, then I'll pass URL here. So we'll get .10, right? So we'll say response, come here, make a return res.json, then .10 again, so I say res, then come here, then make I just console log res, right? So mock we test this thing and see which we get here. So if I come here and I say okay, let as assignment be equals to new assignment, right? So inside here make I just pass Peter, right? So save that. Then if I come here and I say assignment dot read API, makes sense, right? So if I save this, so I see this fall for record. Okay, so make I copy here, make we see whether we put this thing with. Okay, so it's just that the same results now they get here. Okay, so I feel there should be, oops, I feel there should be S users mostly. Okay, good. So I miss the S here. Okay, so ma save this again. Ula, see now we get all of these. That's good. Ultimately, what I actually want now say see this value they pass here, make we pass and down here. So what I go do now say I'll use backtick here, remove here, use backtick, cut here off, so that I feed to this and say this dot name, right? So let's say pass here go use, and so for here I'll put this more save again. Let's see, hola, so we get the same result. So makes sense, right? So now inside here we don't need everything from here, so now just certain things now we need. And if I forget, based on how we structure the assignment, we want to know the time at which this thing was hit. So for that I'll say import moments, right? So we'll make sure so we'll get moments. I'm not sure so I will need ID, but then okay, so inside this our rest we need certain things, right? So make I just deconstruct out the things we need. So I say const deconstruct and rest, right? So what are the things we need? So I know say we need login, we need ID, we need I think I tell them say we will need name as well. I just scroll down to find out the things we need. So we need type, we need site underscore admin, yeah, so we need name. Is there any other thing we will need here? Majorly okay, yeah, so repos, public repos, number of public repo, right? So are the things that we really need with this. So make I just copy this, come here, put them here. So if I save now, so public repo, is that an issue? Let me see. So for some reason, so make I just say and rest. So if I deconstruct this thing should work, right? So I'm deconstructing this out from here, but for some reason, right, it's not so login does blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's fine since it's not reading out this guy, but this thing should be able to work, right? It should be able to deconstruct out from, but no problem since it's refusing to. So what I could just do is just to call so I'm gonna put, look at this show first, so console log, so we can say res.login. So I'm gonna save this and let's see. So what if, so what's the problem? Okay, so something isn't right here. So what could that be? Okay, so let me remove here and let's see. So dot login. Okay, so I think okay, so I think so I remove this, right, and save here back again. I feel it's not well mapped, yeah, so I feel, so make I put this here, yeah. So let me look at this thing. So I feel it's not well mapped. Oh, so we get this, then make us say dot login and save here. So oops. So let's see. Okay, so So I feel that's the problem, right? So make I try this deconstruct again, then I say rest. So inside here, I'll do login, then come here, save this again. Oh, good. So because I no put the type, that's why the guy they shout for me. So so for now I just call this so that I fit get back yeah, so that I fit get back this whole thing. So unless I need public repo, right? And so site admin name, type, comma, and okay, so ID. So these are the the things I feel I need. So if I copy and paste down here, save that, and if I come down, brilliant. So these are all the things I feel I need, right? So makes sense, right? Okay, so now we don't get this now, right? So the next thing I say, okay, we're going to pass that value. So we'll create so we'll use path and so more come here, say import path from node comma path. So if you duplicate this thing, then do fs, right? So are the two modules we need, and for now at least if you just delete this, right? So let's come back here. So good, inside here now we'll do all our magic work. So I will come inside here. So the first thing first now, so if the folder does not exist, make it create the folder, right? And if you'd remember, so we'll say fs.mk, right? So file sync. So make we create, I just do this so that oops, that red barrel come on. So if you say let folder they equals to map.path.join, so we'll say down name and data, right? So good. Then make I just duplicate here, but this one will be file. So this will be folder. Then make this one be like data.json, right? Okay, good. So inside here I will say folder. Now, so this guy will take two arguments like we already know, right? So the second argument will be, so what is the red barrel? So make I remove this. So why are this red barrel? Okay, so make I just clear this off again. So we'll say if or make I just say so if fs.exist sync, right? Then pass folder inside there. So if it exists, right, this side should happen. Else, if you know exist, make this side happen. So we'll start from the else, right? So if you know okay, if you know exist, the first thing we will want to make you do now is making create the folder, right? So we'll say fs.make make that, right? So what's in the make, you go make folder. So nice one we want, right? Then we'll take a callback so that if you don't complete, we gonna say in the one, right? So inside here now we go come write to RAM, right? So before we write, it will make sense say before we write, it will make sense, okay, make we want join, right? So we need to read from the folder first, right? So that we can write to the folder as easy as that, right? So make we do that now. So first thing first now, so okay, I go say so let's I just do something like this, day equals to empty array. Inside this empty array, more map am as any first, right? So even though we know say now object of array go dey inside there, so I just map am as any. Then now I will come say, okay, let arrow dot push, yes, go dey equals to certain things, right, which is what I'm going to get from here. So all these things, right, mark up here, come here, paste them. Then I go add one more thing, we go be created at, right? So that now will be moment dot format. So inside that format I will pass 1 2 3 4. Then yeah, oops, then inside there we'll say new date dot get time. So that's what we want to make it be inside here, right? So we fit save, but I don't want to save it. If I might just remove here first, but if I save now, you go just create, and I don't want that. Okay, so the moment we create this, the next thing what we'll do now to push them into this array, right? Or rather to write them into the array. So what we'll do now, we'll say fs dot write file. So remember it will be file, right? So now the part we want put down. Then the file we want write, so we'll say json dot stringify. Then inside we'll pass the arrow, then comma equal back. So inside this callback I will say file created also. So we'll say file created successfully. Makes sense. So if we save, this one will write the first file into the database, right? Now if the file already exists, right, so what we need to do is to read from that file. So what I go do, I go say fs dot read file, fs dot read file. So make we read the file, then a callback. So I go say error and data. So make I map this data to any. Then yeah, make I map this to buffer, right? Because of course now it's all going to get there. Then a callback, right? Okay, so we go say if error, then make it throw the error, else, right, then we get a data. So the first thing what I go do now, say okay, make I convert this data to string so that it will make sense to work with. Then the second thing what I go do now to pass this data. So I go say json.pass, right? So now don't convert this data. Then make we just say const read data, something like that. Or rather make I just say const read, right, to be equals to this. Now this data we don't get them into JavaScript, so if we can say read dot push, it will one push the new result we'll get, and it will be similar to waiting we get here. So I just copy that, come here, paste them here. Brilliant, right? Okay, so the next thing I go to now say then I need to write. So we don't push this, right? Then write the new pushed data right into our database again, right? So make I come here. So this is the file, this is our read here. So I will say fx, because for year one, okay, so we just say fx dot write file. Make I see. Okay, good, right? So so we stringify and write it back. Then if it has been written, then just tell us this, right? So I'm just saying that a really long thing now don't do, right? Very, very long, right? So we'll still make one or two corrections to that, because I'm just thinking now, what if person recheck something will already exist. We no want to make that one happen. Right, so what we go first do now, say okay, when would they read this data, right, before we push this side here, before we write this side. So we need to first of all check if the data already exists, then if it work, but if it no exist, make it no work. And the way we go do, we will depend on the ID, because no two ID will be the same, right? So it's I go do now, say all year now creates the data. So all year now they push, right? So I go say so make I say let's check first they equals to, most say read dot maybe find. I can use find, I can use sum, I can use, you understand, right? So anything shall we go just give me, we go check whether this value exists here. So if you say el, right, so make it return el dot id strictly equals to id, right, which is this id we will get here. Then inside there I think I can say if check, right, that means we get an object with check, right, that means this thing exists. So if you just tell me say this login or this username or something, right, already exists, right, so make it just return any none, then else, right, then this thing will work, right. So we save this, right. So let's see, so make a look, this is 54, okay, which is this side here, right. So I just pass n here, so that should be fine. Okay, so make we call this back, right. So now at the moment we no get data, right. So if I save here, I should see data load, and that data don't be pushed here also. So maybe this makes sense, right? So I see plenty created that, right. So they see this plenty time with there. So ma look why we get that. Oops, didn't see that. Okay, so I just remove this, and I believe say that the same thing I get here as well. Okay, so save this, and if I resave, you say you're not going to enter back, right, because that guy don't already exist. So make I run here again. So file created, Hula, so we get this. Makes sense, right? So if I come here, save again, it shouldn't work. Makes sense, right? But if I come here and I said, okay, maybe definitely there must be a GitHub WS beta, right? So if I save this, right, so if we come here, we save here, we don't see another beta, right? Make acute sense, right? So if we use do this, right? So super simple. So the next assignment so I give now, so okay, check how many users they our database, right? So that one would be very simple. Why? Because so make I just come here, close here, so we don't write that method finish. So most say total users, right? So yeah, so inside there what we need to do first of all now to read this database, right? So again we need to get access to read that database. So make I come here and copy this, because these two they very important, right? So copy that, then close here back, then if I come here I paste this, right? Okay, so now I don't paste, and the next thing I need to do, okay, the next thing I need to do now to say fx.read file, right? Then pass file, then come here, do this. So inside here I'll call error as usual, then call data, so that this guy not going to shout for me, right? So I'll just pass, so I'm gonna say this one will be buffer anyways. So we'll say if error, make it throw the error, right? Else, right, we get that data. So waiting I go do now say so first of all I need to convert that data. So make we say let read be equals to json.parse dot to string, right? So if we do that, we don't get this. So so inside there we go return read dot length. So let me see, read dot length, because we're going to get, because we can first of all say console log read, right? Mark comments here first. Then if we come here and I just come here and say total user, so if we save that, we get all of this. So you say we get an array, right? So if I come here and I say dot length, right, we save that, so we see 2. Brilliant, right? So this is the second, right? So if you come here, I'll just call here back, right? So brilliant, right? So we get 2. Yeah, I think this is it, right? So super simple, super interesting, and I trust that you guys get value from this, right? So we just use class, right, pass all the methods, and or just pass 1 or 2 methods, and from there we get our results. Awesome, right? Okay, till we see again, have a wonderful day ahead. See ya. Yes.